Hey everybody, Fred here, and this is my tiny forest. What's going to be episode 3. I've got a Cotoneaster that I'm setting up into a Cascade style, as you can see. Before I get into that, I'm just going to say when I started this channel, I intended to post a little more frequently. Unfortunately, with the holidays, I had some family stuff going on that required some travel. So here we are, but I still do intend to post a little more frequently than I've been thus far. That being said, it's a good time to comment on some lessons I learned early on in my bonsai journey, and the first of which is to befriend a neighbor pretty quickly that is fine watering your plants for you. But the second is, and I'll get into this because I'm actually going to pull this out of its pot here in a minute, is to make sure your plants are in a decent soil mix. I even try when I get a discount plant at a box store to just go ahead and get them in some soil that's more controllable. I got my soil mix. I can't take credit for it. Eric Schrader, I believe is his name. He has a YouTube channel called Bonsai. Highly recommend it. I've learned a lot from him, but he uses for his plants and development a mix that's basically just perlite and some type of peat. So I've been following that and had a lot of success, both with my neighbor watering my plants when I'm gone, or even just running my landscaping sprinklers and making sure it hits all of my plants. So it has great drainage, has a little bit of peat moss in there to retain some moisture. The mix is roughly 80-20 on perlite to peat. I just get all of those at whatever store I can pick them up in. It's cheap, you can get it anywhere, and has all the benefits that I mentioned. And I kind of learned early in my journey that I'm not good enough at watering yet. To have a lot more organics or even just common garden soil. So I managed to kill a tree or two that way, and really haven't had any problems since switching over to Eric's suggested mix. So can't recommend it enough. All right, now back to the Cotoneaster here, which I believe is how you pronounce it. The only thing I've done prior to this video is I did apply a little bit of wire. You can see I had some wire on it. I got this in the middle of last year, so 2025, and put some wire on it. Unfortunately, I had a little bit of scarring, you can see right there, but it's still young, but was able to get a lot of growth this year. I've stared at it a pretty good bit, so I have a good idea of what I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just trim it off right here. That'll go. And that gets it back to a little bit more of a manageable volume. I probably will take that for a cutting because I don't have enough plants yet. All right, so from here, I really just want to get it ready for spring when things start to take off. So I'm going to kind of just go through and pull off little branches and shoots that aren't necessarily in places I want them. My thought process here is when it starts to bud out in the spring, I'm going to make sure that the energy goes to the places I want it to go to. You can see I've kind of done this a couple of times on this Cascade section. So it's pretty bare along there already, but that's good, that's what I want. Got some little ones here on some elbows. And then the kind of pads that are forming here themselves, I'm just gonna let those go because I do want them to thicken up a little bit. So just going through here and trim those off. Kind of first branch on the upper section here, I gotta think about what I want to do with that, so I'm gonna come back to that here in a minute. I gotta say, I've seen a bunch of videos recommending Cotoneaster, and I gotta say I agree with them. I was able to get a lot of growth out of this guy, and it seems to be relatively bomb-proof. And then of course the nice tiny little green leaves. They're really vibrant color. So I'm a fan. I've got a couple other just little rooted cuttings that I've got going with, and I'm pretty happy with it. So, you know, if you're a beginner and you're looking, these root super easily. In fact, a lot of the ones that I see out in parks and stuff are naturally ground layering themselves. So probably pretty easy to find material. Okay, I think that's good for now. See, I did put a little bit of wire on. All right, so the next thing I want to do though is I kind of want to get it at a little bit of a different angle. I don't really want to repot, but I am going to pull it out here. And since I have it out, I don't want to disturb the roots too much. I'll add a chopstick here. Yep. I don't want to disturb the roots too much, but I am going to just kind of pick away, but all I'm really looking to do here is set it at a better angle. So I kind of want to get an idea what the roots are doing here, but I am going to leave them alone. See, I got a little bit of a interesting angle there. This perlite comes out pretty easy. But again, I'm not gonna do a repot. I'm not gonna disturb the roots too much. Given it's winter time here, it's January the 8th, I think. Although I say that, I might trim a few of these that are higher up just to on a radial spread here. Okay, I think that's about where I want it. All right, so let me set this aside for a second and get all that stuff I just spilled out back into the pot. And set it at a better angle. See, I'm going to kind of just try to get it to hang a little more. So, try to get it a little closer to the edge too. Fortunately, didn't bring any extra soil in here. I do have some pre-made, but I'll fill that in here after the video. Just kind of poke it in there. I don't usually wire my trees in. Maybe I should start. Comment if you really think I should. And the last thing I'm gonna do is I want it to, is really this guy, this first branch. I kind of don't like how it's sitting. You can see I purposely wired it so that I can move that around a little bit. I'm kind of seeing this side as the front as it develops, so I'm going to try to get it back up off of there. It doesn't like how I stuck it into the soil. There we go. See, and then I can kind of use that as a back branch. Come out there, and then I'm just going to let this continue to do its thing. Actually, I might chop it off right there and kind of let that little side branch be a new leader. I do have, if I can get it in the right position, this one right here is kind of a second branch, if you will, coming up. And then actually now as I see this, kind of want coming a little more forward. Kind of want to put a little bit of wire on this just to get it to come out more instead of just down. So I've got some wire here. Speaking of wire, I have a bunch of just electrical conduit laying around from an old house project. A lot of people don't like that, and that's fine, but I do. I will say though, I've snapped a number of branches as I'm still learning technique. So just be a little extra careful because it is pretty bitter. I will say though, especially for just little shapes like this, I'm more just looking for, rather than nice tight wines that you see people recommending, because I'm still learning timing and getting some cuts in. You see in this case, I don't even need to go all the way out. I'll just kind of loosely wind so that I can give a little guidance, but without really worrying about it biting in for some time. So you see I got a really loose wind. I think the purist out there will be cringing, but that's okay. All I'm really doing is saying, hey, this is gonna explode in the spring. You know, I want to make sure that it's the way I want it. So you can see there, that's kind of now what I'm going for. There's some movement in there, a little bit of structure, and then we're gonna see what it does from there. All right, so I think that's it today. Love your comments. A, if I'm pronouncing Cotoneaster correctly, and B, if you'd have done anything different. I'm very new in my journey and would love your comments and critiques and how I might get better. I'm not too worried about this plant itself recovering super well and fast just because it's a Cotoneaster and that's what I've seen. But we'll see. All right, thanks everybody. Please like and subscribe.